Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Hello, hello. We're going to get this started. Going to invite it's the Cardamom on so we can talk about starting solids 101. Hey, y'all. Hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. We're going to get started. I just invited it. It's the Cardamom on, and I hope you are ready with your questions. Let's go, because she's going to give out all the sauce. I already know. Hey, y'all. Let us know where you tuning in from. Hello. How lunch hour and lunch and learn. Baby's sleeping and tuning in. Baby's on you and tuning in. Let us know. Let us know. Hey, y'all. Hey, hey. Let us know. It's Wednesday. I know. Yes, it is Wednesday. Happy hump day. Isn't today Wednesday? It is. So this is a special live to get our schedules to work and mesh well together because we all got little ones out here in these streets. I'm going live on my lunch break. I love y'all so much. I'm not even going to eat today until because I got consults after this. Hey, y'all. Headed to Pump, Wilmington, North Carolina. Let's see. Hey. It is Wednesday. Doing a special live, going live on a Wednesday. Nursing right now. Awesome.
Hi,
Hey,
how are
beautiful.
you?
I am
Doing
good.
good,
How are
girl. Trying to
you?
get through this week the best I can.
Yeah. Don't I understand?
Okay.
Struggling out here in these streets. All right, y'all. We're gonna not gonna belabor the moment. I told him I'm work. I
I
love him
know,
so much. I'm
right?
working
You're
on my lunch
committed. You're
break. I'm not
committed
gonna
to the
eat
journey.
today. Listen, so I was just like, we
Okay.
got to make these schedules work to get this information in. You got two little ones, I got two little ones, so we're making it work. Y'all came through with questions, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself in the way that you do best,
Yeah,
and we
well,
can go
hello
from there.
everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are really excited about this live. Like Dr. Diana said, we were working hard to make these schedules work. But my name is Cha Miller. For those who do not know me, I am a pediatric registered dietitian. So I specialize in care for moms, babies, kids, and families. I'm particularly focused on BIPOC individuals and really just making nutrition information available, accessible, and easy to understand because especially when it comes to kids and feeding families, there's a lot of confusing information out there. So I just really, on my page, I try to break it down, make it as easy and as actionable as possible because it's like you can get all the recommendations in the world, but if you don't know what to do with that information, then you're still stuck. So that is my goal, to make nutrition easy for all of you.
I love it. And she got the sauce over there, y'all. If y'all haven't been to her page, I'm going to go ahead and get credit where credit is due. Y'all, I did not design this ad. I sent her a flyer with like my Canva, and I was like, she's like, I don't really like it. I was like, I don't like it either. her content, her post is
Thank
just straight
you.
fire. Like just the design work, I had to get credit where credit is due. She's really, really good at making things simple. She's helped me even just watching her and like introducing new foods. I have two picky eaters, different reasons,
Thank
but
you.
it's just amazing. So we have some stuff prepared. So I'm gonna let you. I know some people ask questions in the
Mm-hmm.
in the comments. So I'm gonna let
Before we
you
do
start
that, Dr.
there.
Diana, can you introduce yourself to my audience just in case I have people joining? Because
Yes.
I am an exclusively pumping mom, two-time exclusively pumping mom. And let me just tell all of my followers, Dr. Diana saved my pumping journey. And all of her followers who are listening, she saved my pumping journey. I thought I knew everything about pumping from my first experience. The second time around was a little bit different. I had some challenges, and she single-handedly, one session with her changed everything. So if you guys are hesitant about making the investment, if you need help, please seek her out.
Yeah. No, I was like, HIPAA won't let me be great, but yes, I am Dr. Diana. I just go by Diana, and people call me what they want to, just Diana or Dr. Whatever word you, it don't matter. But I am a doctor of public administration, a certified lactation counselor, and a certified breastfeeding specialist. So I run Pump with Purpose platform. I love all things pumping. So I help you increase your breast milk supply with the right pump, flange, products, and schedule. We do anything else in between, anything dealing with pumping. If you're an exclusive pumper or wanting to add pumping to your nursing journey or pumping to your formula feeding journey, I am inclusive. I am all about doing what's best for you. You will hear it on my page all day long. I say it until I'm blue in the face because I am all about giving you the care that you deserve and not getting stuck in this mentality of it breastfeeding has to look a certain way. Doesn't matter to me as long as you're happy with your goals. But if you are struggling out here in these streets, I do not want you struggling. Like, it is just so important to have people in your circle, on your care team, to be able to help you to do what you want to do, meet you where you are in your journey. And I just love, people say things to me all the time about, I love collaborating with people that I've been, I mean, I don't even know how we even,
I
I
think
don't
I
even know
just
how I met. I don't even
magically
remember
found you
now.
on Instagram. The algorithm just dropped you in my lap, and it was a gift from the universe. So
But we have formed a relationship over months and months and months. And, you know, she's helped, you know, with my children, there's little things. Her page has been helpful. And I just love forming relationships of people that provide safe spaces and places. It don't matter if you're pumping, you're trying to feed solids. Everyone can do what they want to do in a way that works best for them. There's always a safe way to do things, right? And all we can do is provide you with the informed decisions to make those things that we know are to be safer. But everyone has a
for
right
sure.
to do what is best for you. There's still some ways to do things that, you know, are the safest possible based on our research. But yes, that's who I am. I love helping people. I love connecting with other accounts that are safe, space, and place, and are very, very forward thinking and moving to really help families to adapt in ways that work best for them. So we got some questions on the question box. I see some questions coming in. Y'all know we're gonna roll through this. As I got consult starting at 1:30 at as the maximum. So I love y'all. I love y'all. But we're gonna roll through this. I'm gonna let you start with whatever you wanna start with to starting solids 101. I know you had put some things in the bottom about, you know, foods to avoid, ways to start, all those things. I'm gonna
Yeah,
let you
so
kick us
one of the
off.
questions that I thought was really important that someone asked on the bottom of the flyer was, can you start baby on solids before 6 months? So you may hear your pediatrician say that your infant can start solids between 4 to 6 months. So babies do develop at their own pace, right? Every baby is different. However, that is a fairly outdated recommendation, and current research shows that starting at 6 months is the most ideal because that's really when baby is developmentally ready from a physical standpoint. They can typically sit up on their own. They can typically hold their heads in place for an extended period of time. They can typically, you know, grab things with their palm and bring it to their mouth. But more importantly, the enzymes in their tummies that are necessary to break down the solid foods by 6 months, that's usually when things are kind of in place and things are developed enough and ready to go. So I know a lot of people, you know, get eager when they see their baby interested in food and they're like, oh yeah, it's time, it's time. So that is just one of the signs of readiness. You need to make sure all of the signs of readiness are there before you really kind of go full throttle. And if we're being 100% honest, there's no real benefit in starting early. It's not like if you introduce food at 4 months or 5 months, your baby is not going to be a picky eater, or they are going to they're going to advance more quickly. So the research actually shows that when babies were starting earlier, you know, given the guidelines, the previous guidelines, the old recommendation is to start around 4 months, because they weren't developmentally ready, that was the need to start with purees. And we'll talk about kind of baby-led weaning versus, you know, spoon-fed purees in a moment. But the food had to be modified significantly because they really weren't ready to handle food. But if you wait until 6 months, that's when, you know, you can kind of go full force. And if you want to do baby-led weaning, that is, you know, typically the age where your baby should be and ideally will be ready to go. So that's kind of my thought there. Age to start. It's really starting before 6 months, you know, there's no greater reward, really. It's more risk than anything else.
Yeah, I waited 6 months both times, and I know truly, everyone's like, that you should start. I'm like, no, 6 months. I didn't even want to because I was like, breast milk. I
Mm-hmm.
was just enjoying feeding and all the things, and I didn't even want to start early. It didn't even 6 months comes so quickly, and so I waited, and I don't think I know. Doesn't mean you start earlier or later. I do. I
It
think it's
it did
froze.
freeze
I'm
for a
waiting for her to come
second, but
back.
you're back with me.
It did freeze. Can we talk about? Yep, it's okay. Can we talk about? So sometimes I find, and I'm gonna be honest, we over here in Pump with
Mm-hmm.
Purpose, where we can be honest. I feel like sometimes people may start earlier than 6 months. Sometimes if they're not breast milk, and they feel like, let me in
Mm-hmm.
give the solid sooner, so then they may not have to give. Do you find that? Do you feel
So
that? What are your thoughts there?
breast milk formula, starting earlier doesn't necessarily do anything to kind of overcompensate for that, because your baby should still be getting the same amount or
It's pausing for me. I'm gonna give you a
type of
moment.
thing.
Can you hear
Can
me
you hear
okay?
me?
It was
It was breaking
breaking
up.
up.
Okay, how are we now?
Yeah, it's coming
It's
back.
coming back.
It's getting better. Can you start over? Yep,
Okay,
I
I'm
didn't hear
so sorry
any of
about
it.
that. Okay, so we were talking about introducing solids, kind of.
It's breaking up again.
Are we still breaking up, Diana? It
Is your Wi-Fi
it
on,
is.
or is it
Hold
off?
on one second. Let me see. I may need to jump out and jump back in. Give me just a moment.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, how are we now? Is that better?
It is
Okay.
so much better. Yes.
Wonderful.
What were you
Okay.
saying now?
Sorry about that, everybody. So, we were talking about introducing solids as kind of a supplement for breast milk or formula. So, it's not going to be an either or thing. It's going to be a both and, because babies and kids, or babies rather, they are still going to be receiving a significant amount of nutrients from the breast milk or formula that they are receiving. So you're not really going to change the quantity that they're getting. You're just adding in solids. So that shouldn't be a reason, like, let's say you cannot produce enough breast milk. That shouldn't be a reason for you to introduce solids
Good. Just wanted to clear that up. That
early.
it's not supplementing;
Exactly.
it's a complement. So it's on it. Usually, children should take the same amount of breast
Mhm.
milk until age 1. So some people think that when they start solids, it's just going to drop down significantly. It doesn't,
Exactly.
and it
Exactly.
shouldn't.
Because the thing is, their growth
Yeah,
needs and their nutrient needs in that first year are so aggressive. So it's like they need all the nutrients from the breast milk or the formula to support them. And then they also need the solid foods.
so someone asked you, starting solids is the most stressful part of my journey. So if you want to let us know what's stressful, but tell us, like, how do you help with some of the stress and what to start
Yeah.
with? Let's
So
go there.
first, take a step back and breathe. All parts of the feeding journey, when it comes to feeding kids, can feel stressful, but I want you to get your mind right. Get your mind in the right place. It does not have to be stressful if you don't want it to be. So really what it comes down to is finding a groove that works for you. So when it comes to starting solids, there can be a lot of anxiety around, what do I feed my baby? There's a lot of stuff in the news about arsenic in the food, and do I feed them pouches, and do I do this? Do I do that? Start with one thing, focus in on one thing, do that, and then go from there. So if you, let's say you want to do baby-led weaning, start with one food that you are really comfortable. For both of my daughters, we started with both banana and avocado. Those are two foods that are texturally, they're really appropriate for babies. The choking risk is pretty low. They're easy to give, they're easy to feed, and I always have them in my house. Two foods that I felt very safe and comfortable with. Not, I wasn't a fish out of water. I wasn't trying something brand new. Started with those foods and then go from there. I would also say if you are feeling any sort of anxiety, any sort of stress around it, seek help if you need it. Partner with a professional, partner with someone who can help guide you through this journey, who can help ease some of your concerns. Talk to your pediatrician about it. If you can get a recommendation to a pediatric dietitian, talk to them about it. But do what you need to do to feel comfortable in the journey, because it can be really fun, especially this stage. It's like your baby at this point is willing to try anything. They will put whatever you put in front of them in their mouths. So take advantage, because once they reach toddler years, that's when the no phase starts and they're like no to everything. This is like the only time in the journey where literally anything you give them, they will put in their mouth.
So let's go there. Let's go all the way. Christy asked about, is 5 months too early? My doc said 5 months is okay if I want. What do you all do in the pediatric dietitian space when you got pediatricians going completely against? Like, what do you tell families? How do you help them? Because pediatricians, honestly, they do it in breastfeeding, they do it in journeys, no matter how we feed, where they generalize thing that they do and they go against the more specialized areas. So how do you help your families to combat that, to deal with it, to work with them completely different in what we're trying to do in the more
so
specialized
really all you can
space?
do is provide the information and be supportive of the family's choice. For example, one of my close friends, she expressed to me that she wanted to start her baby on solids. Her baby right now, he's about 3 months. But she expressed to me that she wanted to start her baby on solids around 5 months. And I shared with her the information. I let her know, your pediatrician probably told you that. But this is also my zone of genius. This is what I spend my days doing. And, I'm the one who's reading the research. And of course, with my friend, I could be a little more casual, like, girl, don't start him on solid at 5 months. You can wait until 6. It's fine. There's no benefit. But if I'm working with a family in a professional setting, really all I can do is provide them with the information, present them the evidence, let them know, hey, your pediatrician probably did tell you that. And that's not surprising. However, their education in this area is, to be honest, pretty limited. When it comes to nutrition, doctors, like MDs, they get, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's a very minimal amount of training when it comes to nutrition. So they may not have all the answers. They may not have the updated research. It is literally a requirement of my licensing body, my governing body, to have continuing education in this field, in what I'm specialized in. So that said, I again just provide the information and hope that I can establish that trust, so that family does, go along with what it is I'm saying and, does believe me. But if they want to start their journey a little bit early, then that is their personal choice. And I can do nothing but support that.
Awesome. Someone just asked, does oatmeal help with reflux?
It might. It really depends on what the situation is. I would say if your baby is experiencing reflux, to consult with your pediatrician, because there may be something else going on there. So, because you don't really know the cause. So really, I would say get to the root cause before you, try to remedy with any sorts of food or drink or, whatever it is, get to the root cause first. So definitely chat with your pediatrician.
Perfect. So you talked about signs of readiness. You talked about best first foods, banana, avocado, or some of the first suggestions. Now let's go into it, because we're gonna go all the way there, Cha-Cha. So baby-led weaning versus, I'm gonna ask the question, versus purees. What should families be thinking through? I know it's the best decision, do what's best for you thing of like choose baby-led weaning versus purees, but how do you help families on like, sometimes we don't just know. You know, I did
Mm-hmm.
parades first. I did not do baby led weaning on either. I am fine with that. But like, how do you help families just think through like the considerations
Yeah.
in deciding? Because social media got all the stuff rolling at us all day long. Got choking was very important to me. I just was nervous about it. Like, but how do you help families really think through some considerations if they
Mm-hmm.
do more parades first or do more cleaning first or combination? Like, what are your initial considerations? Not telling families, which she's not going to tell you, I'm speak for already. She's you what you should be doing, but I want her to help us with some consideration
Yeah.
so we're not stuck in these social media streets with all this
Yeah.
at
Okay.
us all
So
day.
we're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. So baby led weaning is a fairly new-ish feeding method. Actually, I don't want to say it's new. It's just coming more to light. It's becoming more mainstream. More people are doing it. Like you said, it's all over the internet, all over the Instagram. Baby led weaning is the thing. There are a lot of hardcore baby led weaners out here who are just like, no, baby led weaning or nothing else. Otherwise, your kid's going to be a picky eater. They're not going to be able to eat a wide variety of food. First, before I even go into this conversation, your baby, whether you do baby led weaning or purees, will eventually move to solid foods, will eventually move to table foods. This period where you're kind of, focusing on, is it purees, is it baby led weaning? It's 6 months. In the grand scheme of life, that's not a long time. So regardless of, which method you choose, your baby most likely, unless there are, medical considerations, of course, there's always nuance to everything, but your baby is probably going to be okay. Baby led weaning can be scary, I know, for a lot of people. Like you said, choking is something to consider. However, the research does show that there is not an increased risk for choking with baby led weaning versus traditional purees. Some of the benefits of baby led weaning are: one, your baby can join you for family meals. Two, you're not making like a completely separate thing for your baby. You will have to modify food that you're serving your family for your baby, no salt, no added sugar. You'll have to modify the texture a little bit, but largely it's not going to require that much extra work. Some of the other benefits: oral dexterity, the baby being able to tap into their hunger and fullness cues, because they are the ones leading the journey. And again, whether you choose baby-led weaning or traditional purees, really being responsive to baby's cues, that is what is most important. Responsive feeding. So if baby is turning away, then maybe that signals baby has had enough, and that's the end of the meal. I think what happens with spoon-fed purees is that the parent is the one who's kind of leading the baby on the journey. So they're shoving the spoon into the baby's mouth. So baby may be taking in more than he actually wants or needs. So it's important, even if you're doing spoon-fed purees, to pay attention to baby. Pay attention to what he or she wants or needs, and respond to them appropriately. So don't just, shove spoon after spoon into their mouth. Give them a little bit, see if they're interested, then take a step back and pause. Does baby want more? Does he or she want to explore? But even if you're doing baby-led weaning, purees are a texture too. So you can totally do both. I did a combo approach with my first daughter, and I'm doing a combo approach with my second daughter. Purees are a texture too, and you want to be offering a wide variety of flavors, a wide variety of textures. You really want to, again, maximize on this opportunity where baby is willing to do and try everything.
So someone just asked how to transition baby from parades to finger foods. Are there
So
any like
it does
quick thoughts on
depend
that?
on baby's age, because if baby is younger, like 6, 7, 8-ish months, they may not have their pincher grasp developed yet, and that's when they, can pick things up with these first two fingers. Prior to that, they have their palmar grasp, which is open palm. They're able to grab food like that. So it really depends on how old they are. But again, I would focus on foods that you are really comfortable with. Like, my baby right now, she is 7 months. And you can give her, slice of avocado banana, sweet potato, things along those lines, if you do want to transition baby to finger foods. Just, foods with a soft texture that are easily mashable between your first finger and your thumb. That's about the amount of strength that they have in their gums. And foods that you are comfortable with. Start with one and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, you just touched on it. Start with one. Is there a difference in days? Like, so sometimes it's like 3 days between starting a new food, 5 days, 7 days. Is there
Yeah,
like a
so
thought
if food
on
is not
that?
highly allergenic, there really isn't a reason to wait any number of days. I know that's a pretty outdated recommendation as well. Your pediatrician may say start with one food. What I mean by start with one food is start with a food that you're comfortable with. You don't want to go all out preparing this whole 5-course meal for your baby. They don't eat any of it, and you're just like, well, what happened? Like, just start with one food. That's all they need. Start with what you're comfortable with and then go from there, and then get more creative and more experimental from there. But in terms of having to wait between foods, there's really no need. If you are offering a highly allergenic food, which is a current recommendation based on studies that we have, introducing allergens early and often is ideal to help the prevention of allergy development later in life.
So can you talk like
Yeah,
what
so we're
foods
talking
are you
about the
actually
top
talking about?
nine allergens. So that's going to be fish, shellfish, wheat, soy, milk, tree nuts, peanuts, sesame, and egg. I had to count to make sure I got all of them.
Well, I I just wrote that down. The allergy prone foods. You said it in a different way. Yes, like so you're saying that now you're
Yeah.
busting a whole lot
Yes.
of myths out here in these streets. Like busting to actually serve some of those early. And my oldest, he had a tiny egg allergy. They like give eggs. Like he got allergy tested at like 8 or 9 months because he had a reaction to something and we didn't know what it was. So I just was that type of, you will tell me why this happened. So we did the allergy testing early. We saw a slight, but that changes, right?
It does
Throughout
change, and it absolutely can change. So when it comes to, serving allergies, introducing allergens, so those foods, if you are not comfortable serving them with other less allergenic foods, so I will first say I don't recommend serving or introducing 2 allergenic foods at the same time, because then you won't be able to isolate which one caused an incident if there is an incident. And when it comes to introducing allergies, I would try to do it early in the day so that if there is a reaction, you have time to, get your baby the care that they need. If there is a reaction, typically happens between 2 to 4 hours. So it's not like, a whole day will pass by and then you'll see something. That could theoretically happen, but in general, if there is a reaction, you're going to see it pretty quickly and you'll be able to identify, okay, we gave him eggs with, oats earlier. So it is likely the egg. You can communicate that with the doctor, and you can make sure to seek the care that you need. So, introduce one, make sure that baby can tolerate it, and then you can slowly add in more. But you don't necessarily need to, wait 2 or 3 days, especially when it comes to food that is not as allergenic.
Perfect. Another myth busting I want to talk about. I've heard 100 foods before age 1. Is there, all the spicy social media content that pops up?
And it's interesting because I actually have a resource coming out that is 100 plant-based foods before 1. Now, that is great and that is ideal. But I have a post coming up. If serving baby these 100 foods is causing stress, is causing anxiety, is causing any sort of negative feeling, then don't do it. If baby, if all you have in you for the week is to serve baby mashed black beans and strawberry, then that's what baby's gonna get, and that's what you're gonna serve baby. Not every meal has to be this extravagant meal. Not every meal has to be a new exploration, because I will tell you, last week was that week for me. I was overwhelmed with, everything else going on in my life. And I just could not pull the creative juices out of me. Baby got the same thing, 3 or 4 nights out of the week, and it was fine. So if there is any sort of stress associated with getting these 100 foods, don't do it. You don't have to. It's not a requirement. So, I mean, is it great? Yes, of course. We want to introduce baby to variety, texture, flavor, seasonings. We want to do all of that. That's the goal. But if it is coming at the cost of your sanity, don't do it.
Perfect. One more myth busting, and we'll get back. I see the questions coming in. Sweets versus like fruit. Fruit was, there's the start with veggies first, because if you start the not gonna want veggies.
Yeah, so there's no research to support that you should start with vegetables over fruit. Again, start with a food that you are comfortable with. Now, vegetables do tend to be a little bit more bitter than fruit. So, frequent exposure is important to help them get used to the flavors that might be present in vegetables. But what I tell people all the time, especially with their, toddlers, with their older kids, the best way to, or one of the best ways to get kids to eat vegetables or to help them learn to enjoy vegetables, make them taste good. Like, season their food. It's okay to use seasonings with baby. We want to stay away from salt. We want to stay away from added sugar, but it is totally okay. Put some garlic, put some paprika, put some, you can even put black pepper. I season my baby's food with black pepper. You can do all sorts of spices to really enhance the flavor. You could do a lemon zest. Do not, please, let's stop giving these babies this bland food. There's nothing that says they need to be eating bland food. And especially if it is a part of your culture, it is a part of your cultural cuisine to use really bold, bright, delicious spices, your baby can absolutely enjoy those spices. Spices are not the same as spicy. And you can even start to introduce your baby to, to more aggressive heat, I guess you could say. I wish I had done that with my first daughter, because now she gets some black pepper on something and she's like, oh my gosh, it's spicy. And mind you, me and my husband, we both love spicy food. So we're like, girl, you're going to have to figure this out, because your little taste buds are too mild right now.
So someone just asked, and I've seen it asked a couple times, so let's talk about that as well. What would be no foods to avoid? Are there any foods before one to avoid?
Really, when it comes to foods before one and safety, you want to make sure most foods can be enjoyed, right? But you want to make sure that they are modified appropriately for baby. I will say Solid Starts is a really good app for feeding, because they usually have diagrams that show you, okay, from 6 to 9 months, how do I modify this food appropriately? Okay, 9 to 12, 12 to 24. It'll literally show you a diagram that breaks it down super easily. But in terms of no food, so you're going to want to avoid things that are hard, like hard candies. You're going to want to avoid things that are round or could get stuck in their throat. So like hot dogs, things like that. You're going to need to modify those. So that they are appropriate for baby. And of course, you're also not really going to be feeding your, 6-month-old a hot dog, at least in most cases. But once baby gets older and closer to 1, you still want to avoid those and modify them appropriately. Things like really crunchy chips that might have pointy edges or could get stuck in the throat. Popcorn is a big choking risk. You also want to avoid like really thick globs of peanut butter. Or any sort of like sticky nut butter, because that could, get lodged in their throat. Honey, I will say that is a really big one. So you do want to avoid honey prior to age 1. And, a lot of people may have heard this. It is prone to, or I don't want to say prone to, but it can have botulinum spores, which can colonize in the gut of baby and can really just cause a lot of negative effects. And by age 1, they have developed, their immunity is developed enough to be able to, fight the toxin off if they were to contract it for any reason. But you don't want to expose baby to honey prior to age 1, whether in raw form or in cooked foods. So I find a lot, people will accidentally give baby honey, like in graham crackers or in bread, and they'll think like, oh, it's cooked, it should be okay. You really want to watch out for that. The risk is fairly low. However, the risk is still present. So I would recommend avoiding honey at all costs before 1.
So someone asked about, and we haven't talked about, and we're going to, you've mentioned different meats before, but Cha knows, my community knows, we're a vegetarian. So someone says, if vegan, do you need to introduce fish, eggs,
Such
milk,
a good
all of
question.
those things?
So I am a plant-forward dietitian. So I work with a lot of like vegan and vegetarian families. To be 100% honest, that is a personal choice because it will tie back to family ethics and family values. I have worked with vegan families who have made the choice not to introduce the animal-based allergens to their children. But then on the other end of the spectrum, I have met vegan families who have introduced those animal-based allergens early and introduced them consistently during that kind of key allergy introduction window, just to ensure the reduced risk of development for allergies later in life. Because although we are a plant forward family and my daughter, she is fully vegetarian for the most part, let's say she later in her life, she wants to start, eating meat or eating more fish or, whatever it is, I want to make sure that she has that option, or at least that I did what I could do to prevent any sort of allergy development, at least to the best of my ability. So yeah, you kind of have to think about those things. And then the research shows that consistent consumption of these foods is kind of what is the most beneficial in terms of allergy prevention. So if your family is vegan, what is that going to look like for you? Are you going to consistently introduce fish, or are you going to consistently have that as an available option for your child or for your family? So just things to think about, but there really is no right or wrong answer.
Someone just asked, any suggestions for babies in daycare full-time?
This is a really, really good question, and it depends on the daycare, I think. My 7-month-old, she is in daycare full-time, and so her program, we're a military family, her program, they are required to have the school-provided lunch or the school-provided meal. So she gets baby food throughout the day, and I don't even have the option to send, specific foods for baby-led weaning or anything. At the same time, I don't necessarily know that I would trust someone who isn't me to feed my daughter whole finger foods without my supervision. So it really just depends on the daycare. I know some smaller daycares kind of have the ability, have the resources to allow the parents to bring in foods. When we lived in Chicago, I was able to provide foods for my baby. But again, safety is a concern. Unless there is like one person, or unless it's like a really small daycare where you can really give my child that undivided attention, I don't really want you feeding them more advanced foods. Like, I want this to be as easy and as simple as possible. I'm kind of a smother mother. But safety is my number one concern. So I would say work with your daycare. If you have a provider that you're comfortable with who can, give baby-led weaning foods to your child and you feel comfortable with that, then do that. But speak with them and kind of gauge, use your intuition, gauge how you're feeling, how you're reading them. Do you feel safe with this individual introducing your child to salads?
When you're searching for daycares, it was important to me. Like, our vegetarian family, we knew we were going to feed our children vegetarian foods, and so for our daycare, you can make a choice. You can bring in your food. We have a food from home format, we call it, and so where we are, at least, our children, we do meat substitutes. We bring in that substitute. So one daycare only allowed us the meat substitute, but now from home format, we can bring in whatever foods we want. They're peanut-free facilities, so non-peanut based, of course. But our children can have whatever we bring in from home. And so I think that it is, you're picking daycare to not just be so
Mm-hmm.
consumed with the beginning stages, and figure out what it's going to look like throughout, what their
Totally.
curriculum is going to look like throughout, how their food system is throughout. So our daycare, they provide all of our foods.
Mm-hmm.
That is a non-negotiable for me. And the way I'm going to be packing, you got to pack in meat and milk substitutes, because our children are, cow milk free as well. But otherwise, they get all of their
Mm-hmm.
other sources from daycare. And it is very important when picking a daycare, if that is a decision, or home based, facility based, what does that look like in the future? Not just focus on that, because that first
So
6 months
quickly.
goes by so quickly. So just important for you to like make that a part of your thinking through. If you are not there yet, just ask them, figure out what that looks like. If you need to bring in your
Mm-hmm.
doctor, get notes signed. Um, make sure you know
Totally.
what that looks like. Someone asked about recommend purees, baby led weaning, or a mix. She answered that already. A mix, and it's doing what's best for you there. You could definitely, this live will be saved for everyone. I usually say my live for subscribers only, but when I have guests in, I'm not going to do that to people. It's going to be a permanent spot on my page. So you can definitely go back and read everything we talked about. Is it okay to add
Mm-hmm.
seasoning? She talked about that as well. So you can go back and listen. And she said
Please season your
seasoning
baby's
is
food.
good.
Stop giving them
Um,
this bland
yeah,
food.
correct. Any tips on how to get over anxiety of gagging, choking? She did talk about that as well. I'll let you
Yeah, I mean,
touch on that
really,
for
you
a
just have
moment.
to breathe deep and you have to understand this is a learning experience for both you and baby. In my stories, if you go to my stories, last night I show an example. I cooked carrots for my 7 month old and they were soft cooked, but they weren't quite soft enough. So we had a little bit of a scary moment where, she was gagging a little bit. You don't want to intervene when they are gagging, because that is the body using its natural reflexes to expel the food. And what can happen, parents, we like to stick our fingers down our baby's throats, and you can end up pushing the food further back, making it harder and putting the baby at greater risk for choking. There is a difference between gagging and choking. And I think maybe understanding that is really important to the journey. Gagging is typically going to be audible. It's going to be loud. If your baby is making those noises, I'm not even going to attempt to imitate them. We all know what it sounds like when, your baby is gagging. Choking is a silent event. They will start to turn blue. It is very terrifying, but that's another one of the reasons why safety is so important. Make sure your baby is secured in their seat. Make sure they are sitting upright. Make sure they don't have a wobbly head. Make sure you are being attentive at all times. I understand it's challenging, especially when you have multiple children, but someone needs to be watching baby at all times, because a choking incident can occur in the blink of an eye. But really, as long as you know what you're up against and you are kind of prepared to handle the situation, then I think that is kind of what will ease your anxiety. Take a CPR class. I have taken like multiple CPR classes to make sure that I am prepared and I know exactly what to do if my baby is choking. So that may help ease some of your anxiety. They have online CPR classes. I've taken ones online. I've taken classes in person at the hospital. You can typically find good ones for free, but educate yourself. Make yourself aware of what to do in the event of an emergency.
Awesome. Someone asked here, and I'm going to give you a chance to answer it. CMPA, how to introduce eggs. If that's not your jam, I don't know. I'm going to let you answer that. Provide any, because people keep
Mm-hmm.
asking me about the CMPA. I don't know. I'm going to let you help with that, or any resources that you think is best to help families with CMPA. And if you could talk
Yeah,
briefly
so
about what
cow's
that
milk
is.
protein allergy. So children who have one allergy are more prone to develop more allergies. So I would say if this is your case, work with your pediatrician or work with your allergist and talk about a plan for the introduction of other more highly allergenic foods, just because there is greater risk there and you want to make sure that you are ready to handle any sort of emergency that may come your way. But work with your allergist, work with your pediatrician, because some babies, they do grow out of it. But I would say work closely with a professional. Don't try to navigate it on your own if you don't have to, because I know there can be a lot of anxiety around that. So don't try to navigate it on your own if you don't have to. Work with someone and come up with a plan.
Perfect. So someone just asked, and I think this is a great question. What tools, utensils, high chairs, like, because some people, they put them on the floor. Some people, they put them in there. Some people, a high chair at the table, high chair, separate high chair pulled up to the table.
So
any thoughts?
One, I wouldn't recommend feeding baby outside of the high chair, at least as they establish their ability to eat, to chew, to swallow, to coordinate. Maybe when they're a little bit older, closer to 1, you can, have, novel picnics or things of that nature. But as you are establishing feeding, I would say safety is always going to be, paramount regardless of the age. But really, when they're establishing their feeding journey in a high chair, secure, you want to make sure baby is comfortable. So footrest, ideally, their feet resting directly on a footrest. A high chair with an adjustable footrest is most ideal, so that it can kind of grow with them. Because when you think about it, if you are uncomfortable, you don't want to eat, right? So the same goes for baby. If baby is uncomfortable, baby's not going to want to eat, and it'll make it challenging for the journey. So you want to make sure baby is comfortable. And I mean, there's not a particular brand that I love. There are a lot of, ergonomic high chairs out there. Right now, we actually have a really cheap, probably like $40, $30, $40 high chair from Target, because the high chair that I really want is more expensive. And we're gonna wait on investing in that one for now. So we have just like a little cheap high chair, but it does the job. It has an adjustable footrest. It has the secure straps, so baby is safe. When it comes to utensils and stuff, so I feed directly on the high chair tray, because I find that bowls and plates and things like that, they can be distracting. So I just put the food directly on the tray. I make sure to clean, sanitize it, all of that good stuff, but I put the food directly on the tray. Now, I do love, and there's not a particular brand that I love, every kids feeding brand makes them, but the little flat spoons for baby to practice self-feeding. I absolutely love those, because they are great for baby to grab and practice bringing to his or her mouth, and he is actually able to get the food in the mouth, because with a traditional spoon, it has that little curve, and they don't really have the dexterity or the ability to, get the food off the curve yet, or position it in their mouths appropriately. So those little flat feeding spoons, I do love those, and I do recommend those. The ones we use are from a brand called Nubby, I believe, but I think Bumpkins makes them. All the brands make them. Those are great. Other than that, I mean, if you hate mess, silicone bibs, smocks, things along those lines, those help with mess prevention. They even have covers for the floor. If you have carpet, you don't want to get your carpet messy, but feeding babies is messy. So brace yourself for the journey. If you don't like mess, then I'm going to pray for you because it's going to be messy, and you just need to prepare yourself for that.
Love it. So she's already answered how often to introduce solids. Definitely go back. We've been rolling. Any tips? We're gonna get ready to close down, but any tips on breastfed babies who refuse bottles? We're definitely we could talk about that, and we just want to make sure we keep to solids right now. Allergies, hereditary. Definitely talk to allergists. Just figure out what's going on with the baby. We're gonna move through Ready Set Food for Allergies. Have you ever heard of Ready Set Food for Allergies?
I'm not sure what that is. But you can always DM me. If anyone has like specific questions that we didn't answer, just shoot me a DM.
So, just in the time we have left, Tasha's given out so many gems, so many resources, tips. I want to close out with her services. What are you offering? What are you doing? Heard you sneaking in that you got something coming out. I want to give you a chance, because if you want to work with her, she is absolutely amazing. So what are your services, your suite, your jams. Let us know so we can let people know, and how the DMs are always open. She's very responsive.
Yes.
But like, to work with you.
Yes.
That's what, to work with you. Give me the heart. Out here serving up all the sauce. But we definitely want to take, this is surface level here. Like, people have to understand maybe 10 to 20% of our knowledge, and everything else comes with once we figure out your personal journey, what your goals are, preferences, lifestyle. You're not getting all the sauce on social media. You're getting a little bit, dip your toe in, smack your little bit. So let us know how we can work with you, what you provide.
So I do offer one-on-one counseling. You can go to my website, thecardamomnutrition.com. You can also go to the link in my bio to check it out. So that is, like Diana said, where we really get to the root cause. What is going on with you? What works for you within your family structure? What works for your baby, your child, whoever it is. So that is really how you get the most specialized care. I do have a number of resources that I'm really working hard to put out. I have my 100 plant forward first foods coming out. It will be a whole feeding baby bundle with a meal planner, a calendar, safety tips, baby's balanced plate. So I have that launching hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I have a meal plan that I'm working on. So I'm really just trying to provide a number of resources that you can easily integrate into your life to make feeding your kids and feeding families easier. Because I know it can be challenging. It can be really confusing. So, but yeah, you can find me on IG. It's the Cardamom. DM me if you have questions. Follow me. Like Xana said, I share a minimal amount of my knowledge there. There's so much more.
But it's the sauce. It's all the sauce. So definitely follow. When she knows when she gets her stuff in, she's gonna let me know. She's gonna send me posts, because I don't always look at all the stuff that's coming out. So she knows. She's gonna let me know. I'm gonna post it to my stories. I'm gonna let you know it's available, because I think it's absolutely amazing, especially a safe space and place for feeding your baby how it works best for you. So we're going to get ready to close out. If you have questions for Cha-Cha, send her a DM. DM's always open. Y'all know if you got questions for me, DM me. DMs are always open. Just follow. Excited to learn more. Yes, she got all the sauce. Got all the sauce over there. I need y'all to understand. Y'all following these spaces and places is giving y'all this. I ain't going to even go there. You know. Not even gonna go there. So I literally get lost when Poem with Purpose gets lost in the sauce on a page. I have to bring them on and talk to them. And I was like, are you kidding me? So just receive the compliment how it's intended to receive it. Some of us don't accept compliments well. I'm learning myself to just receive them, let them know all the things that we put in, all the hard work. People are noticing it. This is not just your normal page, just gonna give you some regular information. So thank you so much for your time today, Cha-Cha. I really appreciate it. I love working with you. Secretly hoping you're gonna move closer.
It's in the works.
But it's okay. Until then, she offers virtual, so you can work with her. Hit her up, let her know. I'm gonna love y'all and leave y'all. Get my consults. I'm gonna scarf down some food in 4 minutes. I don't know how that's gonna happen. But I just appreciate your time today. It means so very to have someone on with a wealth of information, pediatric dietitian, mama, 2 little girls that are so beautiful. Just so excited to just have someone else in the space that is a safe space and place. So have a great afternoon, fabulous information. As long as Instagram, I said it yesterday, as long as Instagram is not glitching, I'm going to post this right now. And this will be permanently as a spot on my page. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Thank
See
you.
ya. Bye. Bye.